So, if you have any questions or concerns, you are in fact in a student InfoSec team club meeting. If you think this is something else, you may be in the wrong place. Just don't be embarrassed. You can stand up and leave. It's totally fine. Yeah, so this is our first meeting for fall 2014. Welcome to SIT. Okay, so first and foremost, who am I? I am Vincent Moscatello. I'm the president of SIT. I've been the president of SIT for like the past 2 years now. I've worked as a teaching assistant for the malware analysis class here, and my primary interest in InfoSec is mostly binary exploitation and reverse engineering. I have some contact information there, so feel free to contact me. Okay, so what we're going to do today is we're going to go over a brief history of the club, what we do at the club, what a CTF is. So a CTF is kind of like a cybersecurity competition, but we're going to go into more detail than that. We'll also go over some of the club resources, which you'll have access to this semester. And in the second part of this meeting, we're going to go over getting started with virtualization software. All right, so very brief history. This is it is literally just 2 slides of history, so not too much. So the University of Florida Student InfoSec team was started by John Sawyer and Jordan Wines after they won their first DEF CON Capture the Flag competition. We actually have John Sawyer in the room, so it's very cool. Yeah. So. A little more about John Sawyer's accomplishments. So each year they have yes, a little more about John's accomplishments. Okay, well, people may not know the whole CTF scene, so I'll have to get into that. So John Sawyer actually does penetration testing and ethical hacking for a living. So every year they have this huge Capture the Flag event called DEF CON in Las Vegas. It's probably one of the more difficult. It's probably the most difficult one to win and get into. It's sort of what most people who do capture the flags aspire to kind of like get to. So it's very cool. So also, just because this has to do with history, I saw that Wikipedia had a history of domestic sheep, and I just thought to myself, who would write who would write a Wikipedia entry on the history of domesticated sheep? Okay, so.
Have you made updates, sir?
I don't know. That's a very good question. I'm very curious about that. There should be. No one would probably notice any changes. Okay. So SIT actually became an official student organization in the spring of 2012. So quite evolved, much time, very sequence. So what we do at SIT is this club is about information security. And information security is a very broad topic. It covers a whole bunch of different disciplines. Here, those are the listed on the slides are just a few examples of the disciplines. Forensics, system administration, reverse engineering, exploit development, web app testing. And the focus on this club is on professionalism and becoming a member that contributes to the InfoSec community. So, if you came here to learn how to hack someone's Facebook, this probably isn't the right club for you. We're not going to go over how to do that sort of thing. So, it's just not what the club is about. Right. In the past, we've had guest speakers. This is me standing next to Tyler Pitchford. He started up Boo's BitTorrent client. I don't know, some of you might have heard that before. And he's a really cool guy, very good at reverse engineering, and it was really awesome to have him come and speak with us. We've gone on conferences. We've gone to information security conferences like DEF CON, and a few others such as B-Sides Orlando. This year we're probably going to try to go to B-Sides Jacksonville. They're very exciting, and it's a great opportunity to actually meet some companies which can potentially give you a job in information security. And it's a good networking opportunity, and there's a lot of very interesting presentations and stuff as well. Some of these conferences we go to on planes. So yeah, the one in DEF CON was in Las Vegas. I went out there, Chris went out there. It was very awesome experience. And while you're on an airplane, why not make a paper airplane? Just because, why not? So each week you can expect a student presentation on a topic in information security. These are technical presentations, like how do I do X, Y, Z. So what do I mean by technical? We're not going to have presentations about anonymous, advanced persistent threats, NSA. Nothing exists in this room except for the tech. And the objective of this club is to try and help its members gain exposures to technical skills they need to succeed in the professional field. So basically, buzzwords make me sleepy. I'm not going to stand here in front of you and talk about, look at this scary phone hack thing for half an hour straight. That wouldn't be fun. We'll actually be doing things such as like developing exploits and stuff. So you can also expect a highly accessible, well-written white paper with lots of pictures. So when I say well-written, of course I'm going to say it's well-written because me or another officer wrote them. They are extremely good documents, and it's basically the resource I wish I had when I first started to get into information security thing. So we're going to provide one of these documents with every single meeting. So most importantly, drumroll, this is a club that does things. So there's going to be an interactive component to every single one of these meetings where we're actually doing things like doing networking forensics on like a packet capture or once again writing like an exploit for a program or maybe doing something with Nmap, another security auditing tool. So next thing I'm going to dive into is what is a CTF. So a CTF is a capture the flag competition. So it's not necessarily. So when we say capture the flag competition, you might be thinking of, oh, like game where you run on one side of the field to another trying to get someone else's flag. Well, it's not exactly like that. The capture the flag competitions, which we're going to be doing in here, won't have physical flags. Commonly, you'll get like a binary, which you have to look at, which might look something like this, and then you have to retrieve a funny-looking, unique string that looks like this, and then you'll have to submit it through a web interface, which looks something like this. Which is a fantastic segue where I can brag about us coming in 4th place in the CTF over the summer. We did very well in it. We beat the University of California, Berkeley. We beat the United States Air Force, which is very awesome. And we lost to a high school. But, hey, what are you yes, so we are the student InfoSec team, but CTFs are just one of the things that the club does. They're not the primary focus of the club. In fact, unlike the calendar, which we have, which basically lists every single thing we're going to be doing throughout the entire fall, I think we only have one CTF actually on there right now. We will probably add a second one, but the primary focus is not CTFs. So, all right. So I'm going to go into a few club resources, which you should definitely become familiar with. There's UFSIT.org, which is our main website. The UFSIT.org pretty much acts as a hub. It has a collection of basically everything that you would ever need. We would post descriptions of a meeting, whether or not the meeting is canceled. Even the calendar is on there if you wanted to easily just access that. We are on Facebook, so I don't actually manage the Facebook. I don't have Facebook because I'm too cool for Facebook. I'm a hipster. Andrew, he manages our Facebook, which is quite awesome. We also have an IRC, so all of us are in here in this room right now, but we can't always be in this room with each other, unfortunately. I know how disappointed you guys are about that. But you can join IRC. You can join our IRC channel, and you can chat with people who are in the club and officers and ask questions and that sort of thing. So one of the things you have to do to join this club is you have to send an email to president@ufsit.org with the subject mailing list and then first name and last name. Because by far the thing that we use the most, the thing that just holds this club together, is the mailing list. Like sometimes we might forget to post something, we might forget to repost something on the website or on the Facebook, but the mailing list is guaranteed to be the most accurate, up-to-date information. So definitely join our mailing list. Mailing list is also very awesome because you can also send out questions on the mailing list and talk to a whole bunch of people who may or may not know more than you. And another thing we need you to do is go on Gator Connect and click the link to join our organization or request a membership. This helps us out a lot to stay as a club with SGA. So I'll go back to this and put the slide up at the end if you didn't write down the information yet, because that'd be way too quick. All right, so the interactive component, which everyone loves. So this interactive component is going to be on setting up virtualization. So virtualization basically means that you're running virtualization essentially allows you to run an operating system on your computer from your operating system. So essentially what you can do is you can fire up a distribution of Linux like Ubuntu and run that from inside of Windows or Mac OS X. It's extremely accessible. It's very, very awesome. So if you're wondering if you have the right application, their logo is going to look something like this. That's how you kind of know you're in the right place. If it brings you to some dodgy website, advertising who knows what. So where can you actually find the links to the stuff that you need, like VirtualBox? I recommend you check out the actual written documentation that's on the UFSIT.org website. I put a link in there that'll bring you directly to VirtualBox, so you can download and install it. That is one of the things that you'll need. Once you've actually installed the program, it's going to look something like this. And when you actually click the run the virtual machine, it's gonna pop up on a new window. So you can sort of just interact with it that way. So it's very neat. So we provide you with two files. These are OVAs. You can essentially think of them as tar files for a virtual machine, which basically contain all their contents. And importing these into VirtualBox is super easy. You literally just go to File and then Import Appliance. And then there's information on the credentials to log into the boxes. For example, the default Ubuntu server box is just going to have the password sit, username sit, password sit. So, and if you haven't downloaded the virtual machines yet, you can download them from this link, which I will also repost at the end. It takes a little while to actually download the images because they're pretty big files. So if you don't happen to finish doing that today, or if you like to leave, you can still access and download them from there. Alright, so that's the end of the actual presentation. So I'm going to go ahead and real quick and actually show you guys how to use VirtualBox. Yeah, that might be useful. Just looking at a couple slides isn't terribly fun. Alright, so once you download VirtualBox and have it installed, it'll look like this. So you just have to go to File, Import Appliance. Alright, and then we can go ahead and select where it is. It's going to be on Desktop, SIT VMs. I'm going to install the Ubuntu server one just because it's nice and tiny. It'll be pretty fast. So I can go ahead and click Import. Continue. And it's going to ask me, do I want to import it with all these specs? I'm going to say yes. We tried to make the specs as low as possible, so it's going to be compatible with as many machines as possible. So a side note, one of the things you may have noticed is the Kali distribution that we gave you is a 32-bit distribution. I recommend you still install the 32-bit version, because when we start doing things with binaries, it's just going to make our lives really easier, because then you start getting into kind of hell where you're missing a library that you need, and it just gets really messy if you don't just sort of stick to like 32 bits. You can still run the 64-bit version, but it's up to you. So we finished importing the appliance, which was very, very easy. So we can go ahead and click the start button. Just gonna fire it up. Alright, and you're gonna get to this menu here. So this menu is grub bootloader. So normally you need a bootloader, just like different operating systems. Here, the only operating system we have installed is Ubuntu. You can go to mode, recovery, and generic. Well, we'll just log into generic. And there we go. So we started up a Linux distribution. I'm going to go ahead and log in. SIT, password SIT. Might be lowercase, yeah. There we go. And that's what it's going to look like. And we can do all sorts of things from here, like pinggoogle.com, right? And now we're pinging Google from our virtual. So that's all there is really to setting up a virtual machine. Alright, so let me go ahead and put those links back up for you guys. Oops. And then you guys can stick around, and we'll help you guys to install these VMs on your laptops. But if you didn't bring your laptop today, that's pretty much all we're going to do for today, and you can feel free to leave. So, yeah.
Also, feel free to ask any questions about the plugs.
Oh, yeah.
To me, to Vincent, to Andrew.
Yeah, so anyone who's kind of wearing like one of these badges, they're an officer in the club. Actually, let me introduce my officers real quick, because that's probably an important thing I should have done. So go ahead and stand up, my officers. Alright, cool. So here we have Chris. He's fantastic at forensics, so we have like a forensics question, ask him. He's also like a most like fantastic like knowing Linux commands guy ever. Marcus is our public representative. He is really, really, really good at Windows stuff. I don't know. I'm really bad at Windows stuff, so if you have a question about like hacking Windows stuff, definitely ask me. Yeah, or general programming, he's good at that too. Andrew, he basically handles a lot of our social media and stuff. He's very good at like web app testing and that sort of thing. That's sort of his specialty. And then we have Daniel here. He's the vice president. So I basically kick him around to make him do stuff I don't want to. And what would you say your specialization is, Daniel?
I like little bits of everything. I don't.
All right.
Have
So little bits of everything. So yeah. All right. Cool. Thank you, officers.